Hello explorers and welcome to another video, and we're back with more Linux from scratch. The series where I'm trying to build Linux from nothing. You have a Linux environment and you download a lot of different packages and you build them into a new Linux environment built by yourself. So we're going to follow this guide here. And we have done a lot so far. The last thing we did was actually, when we had entered the environment, check that our compiler actually worked. And I was required to restart everything from the last time, but I think I have reset everything, so we should be good and going forward. So the next thing we are going to do is build zlib. And zlib or zlib is a package that has all the functionalities required to compress and decompress different binaries or different files and so on. So if you are building something that requires the functionality to compress or decompress something, you can use the functionality in this library. So it's a very good library to have. So let's start by trying to unpack this. So zlib should be there. It's not a gzip, and there we have zlib. So we go into that. It's very simple to configure. We just do see. It should be a configure file here somewhere. We don't have a configure. Yeah, configure. Isn't it executable? It should be executable. So configure. Yeah, so we should be configure with prefix USR. So that's our prefix for this configure. It went pretty fast, and then we do a make and make check. See that all the tests go through, and we do a make install. And this should be quite quick. And there we have built it, and all the tests went through. And let's see, the next thing we can try now is to copy or move some files here. So we will move verbose from usr lib zo star to /lib. So we move a few files there, and then we do some links from okay. So I wonder if it's actually wants us to be in the, because there should not be a lib right now. So I think it's actually wants to create something from /lib/ and then read link usr lib zo to usr lib zo. I'm not sure what that means. Okay, so we do a link from the libzzo to libz and the version that we built. So that what we were doing. So this is a little bit strange, but we moved things that were built in USR to the standard lib directory and then linked them back. That's the way to do it. But following the guide, it's probably the right thing to do. So the next thing we need to build is file. We have talked about file before. So file is this that this library where you can check different features of files when you have it installed. So figure prefix USR, and this should be pretty small as well. So the configuration step was a bit longer this time, and then we do make, and where are my awk? There it is. And make check and make install. So this should not take that long to build, and then we should be able to look at files. So if we do file here, we have that command. Let's do file to do. What does it say? It's ASCII text. So that's how file works. It's pretty nifty tool to use to look at different files. You can see if it's an image file, if it's a PDF file, if it's a text file, and so on. Next up, we are going to build readline. So let's see what readline 8. Go in there. And first, before we do that, we need to do some modifications. So we're going to run sed, and we are going to change something that starts with mv and something old /d, okay, in the make file in, and then we're going to do sed I slash and the curly brackets old stuff and then slash c colon and support lib install. Okay, and then we can do our configure. So when we are reinstalling readline, will cause old libraries to be moved to the library name old. While this is normally not a problem, in some cases can trigger a linking bug in LD. This is what avoided by issuing the following two sed commands. So that's why we are doing those. And so we'll configure it with prefix and USR. Disable static, so it will be dynamic, and documentation dir to USR share doc read line A0. Configured that one. And we need to actually compile it with some flags as well. So we will need to make with shlib libs and tell it where those should be. And that should be -l /tools/lib. And we also do n curses v as a flag. So this means that we forces readline to link against the lib n curses library that we built earlier. So that package does not come with the test suite. Okay. After we have done that, we need to install it as well. So we have the same command with the same flags and just do install with that. And then we need to move dynamic libraries to a more proper location and fix up some permissions and symbolic links. Okay, let's do this. It's a lot to write. So USR lib/lib, and then we need readline after curly brackets and history. And there we want the so files star to lib to move all of those. Then we do -mod -v for verbose user plus write, so users should be able to write in lib, and also these libraries that we looked at earlier, readline and history, I guess zo star. So we've changed these permissions, and then we do an ld sfv, and again in the loud directory for this read link and usr lib read line zo, or usr lib read line. Typing is hard. And then we need to do the same for history. History. Now we've done those two, and we have links, and we need to do the documentation install. So install -v-m644 for the right permissions, doc star point, and ps pdf, so there's a lot of formats here, html, and dvi. What's dvi? That document format I have not heard about. To usr share doc readline 80. So we do the install of all those. So now we have the documentation as well for readline. Next up is the compiler M4. So let's unpack that one. M4. Okay. Yeah. Didn't we have an M4? Or is it small little letter M4? Yeah. So we go back into work, tar, the M4. There we go. We go into M4. We need to make some fixes for this as well. It's required when we use a newer libc. So maybe your documentation are not in your documentation you're not required to do this, but for the current version of 2.28 of libc, I need to do this little change here in order for it to compile in lib- and all the C files. And then we also need to do some sed. No, we need to do an echo. And we need to define something. Define. So that's a cdefine language or definition in backup 0x. So 100 hex into lib stdio impl h. So we have defined that, and now we should be able to configure -- prefix usr. Should be take a little bit longer to build this one. It's 0.4 SBU. The other ones have been 0.1. So this will take a little longer to build. So this M4, it copies given files while expanding macros that they contain. Macros are either built in a user-defined or can take a number of arguments beside performing macro expansion. M4 has built-in functions for including naming files, running Unix commands, performing integer arithmetics, manipulating text, recursion, and so on. So it's pretty much a little compiler for a little language that is used for a lot of packages and a lot of install scripts and so on. So it's quite useful to have. So let's just wait for that to compile. And we are back. So next up we are going to build a little calculator, the BC calculator. I'm not really sure what the system is using a calculator for, or if it's just something good to have. But we need to unpackage that, of course, as well. So BC is the package name for that. And in the BC folder, we need to prefix. We start with the prefix USR, and we say that we want to use GCC for the compiler, C flags, and here we need to use standard C99, and then we can do the configure over here with -G and -O3. So I think I don't know what G stands for, but O3 is optimization, I believe. Oh, so it's a shell script, so that could be. Nope, there is no shell script. So that's the thing it told me to run, and there is no configure sh. And -G is not. Omit parts of the test suite that don't work without GPU BC present. GNU BC present. Okay, let's try it without that one. And it's an optimization flag. So let's just try it without the flags and see if that works. Maybe not. Test and make install. It failed. Ed is not found. Ed. The editor Ed. But this says BC 1.707. So do we have another BC here? Because I have a much newer version of BC here, 2.3. And I'm back, and I found that I actually had opened a newer version of the installation guide where all the packages were new versions, and I can't really follow that, but the things that we've done so far is pretty much similar. But there is a lot to do with BC. So in order to install BC, we need to do a cat operation here into bz fix libmoth h, and that we need to do until end of file. And we should have hash #bin/bash in this one. We should do sed e and edit 1. And let's see here. It's really hard for the spacing issue here. So I'm not really sure if I'm gonna get this right. This is some strange voodoo here. Sed e, and then we have $$ So what I actually wrote now was to change the internal script from using sed or using ed to use sed. And I don't really understand that, but it seems to be pretty much correct-ish. Then we need to do some changes in links. Create temporary symbolic links so packages can find the read line library and confirm that its required ncurses library is available. So let's do that. From tools, lib ncurses v, so 6 to lib user lib ncurses v, so 6. So that should be one of the links. And we should also link lib ncurses v, so 6 to usr lib ncurses zo. That creates a link to the file that we just created inside of the same directory. And then we need to do some more sed. We need to fix an issue in config due to missing files in the early stages of LFS. Okay. All these changes as function error and bracket all these command functions for jumping on the line. Configure. Then we should be able to run configure. Hold your breath. But first, before you do that, we need to add some prefix. So USR. And we need to build it with readline, man directories, and the manual directory should be USR share man. And we want the info directory to be user share info. Hopefully we've written everything right. It seems that the this command works. At least the config worked. So let's try to make this. That seemed to make as well. Nice. So now we need to, let's see, to test BC, run the commands below. There is quite a bit of output, so you may want to redirect it to a file. There are very small percentage of tests that will indicate a round-off error of the last digit. Okay, so echo quit, why I don't know, to bc-l test checklib b. Let's see if it can do all the arithmetics. Seems like we had a few errors up there, but that should be something that has to do with the rounding error, and it seems to be pretty much what the documentation said. So that looks well. So let's install this package and be gone this little calculator that took so much time to fix. And I will split this video up in multiple videos. But I think that this series is gonna give you something, and I hope that you will learn something from this series, that you will understand Linux a little bit better. If you like this video, give it a like, share it with your friends and colleagues. If you have any comments about this specific video, then leave them in the comment section down below. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. And I really hope to see you in the next video.